The U.S. government is full of doo-doo, and this article that I'm about to read will prove to you that it's full of doo-doo. Now, I'm going to read this article to you, but let me explain it to you. This is something that I've been wanting to do, and I curse my soul for procrastinating for all these years. I've been wanting to do a series called Red State Hypocrisy and show you how these red states are nowhere near as conservative as you think. Okay, these red states have all type of liberalism going on. Like, for example, in Louisiana, in New Orleans, your child has to be vaccinated to go to school. They have to be. Now, what Republican states cast themselves as these ultra rights respecting states of freedom and the government can't mandate and tell us what to do, sitting up there in a blood red state like Louisiana, you have a federal obligation or mandate that is being adhered to in a school district. But I want you to keep one thing in mind as I read this article about Jackson, Mississippi. And I could sit up here for 10 hours and talk about Mississippi. I literally could. I could sit up here for a whole day and talk about Mississippi. But I'll read this article and keep in mind, like I said, $4 trillion infrastructure bill. Where's the money? Dude, we ain't nothing but a population of people, and I'm talking about Americans, who are just being robbed of money. That's it. And Joe Biden put $87 billion into the IRS to take more and more money from us. That's it. You're just a population that is an enslaved population. I'm going to read this article. And for as controlled as the media is, things have got to be bad for this article to even be written in the way that it is. Hold on just a second. Just a second. It's going to take a second because I had to bring it up. Okay, here it is. Justice for Jackson. Jackson, Mississippi. This is a song that was mentioned by Bruno Mars in one of his songs. If you remember Jackson, Mississippi, he might have some roots there. I know that Russell Wilson, the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, does. Jerry Rice, Walter Payton, quite a few notable people. But anyways, Jackson, Mississippi is currently suffering throughout an unprecedented water crisis. After decades of systematic and intentional neglect due to environmental racism, capital flight, and deindustrialization, the city's water system has collapsed. This collapse didn't have to happen. As a result of the city's declining tax base over the decade, it cannot pay for the repairs by itself, nor should it have to. Jackson is the capital of the state of Mississippi, which means it is the base of state government and resources. In addition, it is also where the federal government's administrative resources in the state are concentrated. These entities use the water system just like the city's over 160,000 predominantly black residents do. They must pay their fair share in overhauling and modernizing the system. Jackson's elected officials have been asking the state's government to make a substantial contribution to the system for decades. However, the Republican predominantly white party leadership that has dominated the state's government for generations now fundamentally refuses. They would rather the city collapse than structurally enable and supports its black political leadership and black life in general. Enough is enough. The state and federal government must provide the city of Jackson the resources it needs to completely overhaul and modernize the city's water, filtration, and delivery systems. The new system must be designed with ecological sustainability in mind, and it must be built by the working people of Jackson. Money must not be an issue. If the government can generate billions of dollars to provide immediate and long-term aid to the governments of Ukraine, Taiwan, and Israel, so readily, then it can generate them for the people of Jackson. Justice for Jacksons entails the implementations of a just transaction that adheres to the following principles and demands. Okay, I'm going to skip down and get away from their little organization principles and get back into the article. We're also clear that the suffering communities of Jackson cannot find and must not wait on state and federal redress that might not ever come, given the ongoing legacy of racial neglect. So we must be clear about building and fighting for the practical community-based solutions to the water and climate crisis that is underneath it, that we can implement ourselves. To this end, we think it is imperative that we create a Jackson Emergency Response and Mutual Aid Network. Hold on. I don't want to read all of that, but you get the gist of this article. And Jackson is about a couple 100,000 people. Tell you the truth, it's about 250,000 people if you include all the little suburbs right around there. A lot of little country suburbs, but nevertheless, they're suburbs. About 75 to 80% of the population is black. Keep in mind, Mississippi has one abortion clinic. So you already know, in any environment where you got a bunch of black women and a bunch of white, conservative white women, them black women are going to have way more babies. And what this is being done for, as you saw it, read in the article yourself, this is downright neglect. This is downright smiting at the black population. And this is trying, what they're going to do is that they're going to try, like, if they could get away with it, they just turn the water off completely and just turn that bitch into Haiti. They would. And, the black politicians there, or the black people there, like typical black people throughout the country, they don't put no pressure on the black politicians. And I'm going to tell it to you like this. The black politicians probably were a little bit behind the anger that led to this article, but they've been nothing but sellouts, just like the niggas in Atlanta. They ain't nothing but sellouts. And it's getting to the point now to where their children are being kidnapped and beat down at the bus stops, and they are being pushed and being forced to kind of live among the people who they've abandoned and neglected. And this is a continuum of human race consciousness in which black people are left to starve and die. And it is a collective mentality of people who choose to be that way. This is the same state that talks about abortion, there being one abortion clinic, and doesn't provide anything. And the American population is just dumb as hell. How to live in hell do you even have stuff like this with $4 trillion infrastructure bills floating around? That's $4 trillion that just got shoved into a bunch of people's pockets. You also have a situation in Mississippi where the state is stealing child support money. Black women are stupid enough to put their baby daddies on child support and get on food stamps. And it doesn't even matter if they don't put their baby daddy on child support. When they get on food stamps, she has to put him on child support. And in many cases, if the baby is on Medicaid or Medicare, then she don't get the child support check. So basically, they give your child a flimsy ass health care where it doesn't matter what's wrong with the kid. The kid has to wait several months to see the doctor, and don't even get me started on the dentist. So you get a nothing ass health care and all your money from your baby daddy distributed to the state. You get what I'm saying? And that's white supremacy in a nutshell. And the dumb black niggas of Mississippi and America sit back election after election and allow and vote in people who do not give a flying, living, breathing damn about them. And that would be black Democrat politicians. You already know that the white folk don't care nothing about you, but trust me, you haven't had decades. Jackson got a big Democrat, as you could imagine, political establishment. The only way that decades of neglect can go by and that happen, it get to this point, like we Flint, Michigan of the South. And this is really all over the country. It's not just Flint and Jackson. There was brain-eating parasites discovered in the water supply of New Orleans about 10 years ago. And literally nothing is done about it. It's like infrastructure bills and all this money passed to fix stuff and build, and Obama talking about shovel-ready jobs and all this stuff. And nothing. All of that political talk that them politicians engage in is scam talk. It's scam talk. They ain't up there for nothing but to just take money from the people. That's it. That's all. And them black politicians are worthless. They have set up and allowed this to happen, and they're going to continue to just take a few crumbs to not do anything. And the people, there's no telling how much autism, there's no telling how many brain disfigured babies are being born. Men are probably going sterile. There's no telling how many ills, sicknesses are coming out of that area. And also keep one thing in mind before I shut it down. How do a motherfucker look up in your face screaming about the coronavirus and we need to be healthy, and why are you making other people sick? Doesn't this pretty much just expose the whole BS coronavirus? Doesn't it just expose the whole BS? Like, you're not even providing your population with clean water. And you mean to tell me you think that I believe that you care about my health care? Get the fuck out of here. I'm out.